welcome back to another video, and today we got our Week 9 College Football Top 25 Rankings. We're doing these videos every single Tuesday, so if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. And I can't believe it's Week 9 already. It feels like this season is flying by, but like I said, we're making videos every single week, so just stay tuned for those. We also do NFL content every week, NBA content. Make sure you check out our video we posted yesterday predicting the entire NBA season. And college basketball content coming up right around the corner, MLB content as well. And if any of that interests you, make sure you subscribe. But let's go ahead and get into number 25, moving up one spot, unranked last week. Arizona State, I've had them ranked for, I want to say, a majority of the season. The AP poll hasn't really had them ranked all that often. I've had them ranked quite a bit. I think last week was the first week. Unless I'm mistaken, I think last week was the first week I didn't have them ranked. But they're back after their win over Texas Tech. Now, it was against Texas Tech's backup, but still, this is a very big win. Arizona State just tends to win the big games, I feel like. Now, I know they got blown out by Utah, which is why they dropped out, but Sam Leavitt looked really good. He threw for 319 yards. Jordan Tyson, obviously, he was injured, but he still got 10 receptions, 105 yards, and a touchdown, even with his injury. Huge win for Arizona State, really keeping their hopes alive for the Big 12 championship game, and I think there's a good chance they win out here. Now, that Iowa State game, maybe a little tough there on the road. Iowa State's still 5-2, still a very solid team. But besides that, man, I mean, it looks pretty promising here. So I don't know. I think the schedule is very workable. I know Houston is also 6-1, so that's going to be a tough game. This is, I could see them having a little bit of a letdown spot here, but they are at home, so I'm going to expect them to win. I believe Sam Leavitt's going to be playing. I know he's kind of questionable for Texas Tech. He ends up playing there, so I'm assuming he plays in this game as well. And yeah, they're going to just need to, if they get past these next 2 weeks, I think there's a good chance they play for the Big 12 championship, but, it's really in question because there's a lot of teams there up at the top at the Big 12. I feel like there is every year. But yeah, that was a big win against Texas Tech. I mean, they were winning for a lot of it. Then Texas Tech took the lead. Then they got it back there at the end. Yeah, huge win, keeping their playoff hopes alive. I mean, I guess if they win out, they can still make the playoffs. So should be interesting. We'll end up seeing what happens. But I think they beat Houston. Number 24 is going to be Cincinnati. I'm going to move them ahead of Arizona State. They're an exciting team, man. They're 6-1. And if you look past that Nebraska loss, which honestly Nebraska isn't that bad of a team, and it was also a big rivalry game. If you look past that, Cincinnati and Brenton Sorsby over there have been really solid this season. They've put up a lot of points every single week. And like I said, Brenton Sorsby looks really, really good. They got Baylor coming to town this week. I think they win. I actually have Baylor covering just because Baylor's a very exciting team. But I think this game has a good chance to be a shootout. But look at Cincinnati, man. They're undefeated in Big 12 play. Right now, they are in the Big 12 championship with BYU. Now, there's a lot of teams behind them. Arizona State, Texas Tech, Houston, all one game back. So, we'll see if they can end up holding on. But, I mean, they're going to have to play Utah on the road. That's going to be tough. BYU at TCU. So they got a lot of tough games here coming up. They've been kind of cruising, although they did get a big win against Iowa State, and I almost ranked them then. But this is their first time, for me at least, being ranked this season. So exciting there, and I think you could argue they should be even higher. Number 23 is going to be Illinois. I'm going to keep them, where they're at. They come off the bye, and they got to go to Washington. This is kind of a sneaky little, playoff implication game. I mean, if Illinois wins out at 10-2, only losses to number 1 and number 2 in the country with a win over USC, with a win at Washington. I'm assuming they went out. I mean, 10-2 Illinois, there's a chance they could get into the playoffs. And same thing with Washington. If Washington goes 10-2, that means they would have to pick up a win over Illinois, as well as a win over Oregon last week of the season. So if Washington wins out at 10-2, they'll probably get in as well. I think it's a better chance of Illinois winning out than Washington, just because, this is Illinois' hardest game left on their schedule. Washington still has to play this game and Oregon, so it's going to be tough. But in Washington, I don't really know how good I feel about Illinois winning this game. Washington's a 4.5-point favorite. Their offense kind of got shut down last week, but that three-headed monster there, I don't know if I think this game's going to be pretty high scoring, but Damon Williams, Jonah Coleman, Boston there, the receiver. I mean, this is a really good 1-2-3. Illinois, Luke Altmaier's looked good. They kind of got it going late against Ohio State, and both these teams did play Ohio State. Kind of got shut down. I think Washington at home is going to get the edge here. I got them winning 30-27. I have Illinois covering. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be a fun game. But I think Washington has just too many answers offensively and too many weapons offensively. I think they're going to be able to score just a little bit more than Illinois. Just a little bit easier, but Illinois could for sure win this game. It's also a pretty far travel there. Washington's a very tough place to play, so I'll go ahead and give them the edge there. Number 22 is going to be Texas. Moving down 3 spots, they get an overtime win against Kentucky. Now, I saw a video saying, well, Kentucky on the road, night game. You know, road games in the SEC at night are never easy, and Kentucky's always one of those teams that every year it feels like they have 1 or 2 games where they really push a top-tier team. And I think that's fair to say, but, you know, you got to admit, this isn't the first time Texas's offense has looked like this. So I don't really know if I can give them that exception. I mean, they looked good against Oklahoma, against a defense that I thought was the second best in the country up till that point. But besides that, their offense hasn't done really anything all season. I mean, nothing impressive at all. Sam Houston, I'm not going to count that as impressive. Like against UTEP, they struggled. They lost to Florida. I mean, they looked okay against Oklahoma. They looked pretty good, I guess. And then Kentucky, like, you know, Ohio State, obviously they look terrible. Like, Arch Manning just, I don't know, man. This is a team that's winning, that's like relying on their defense and special teams to win the games, which are both very good units, but you'd like to see the offense get going. And at this point in the season, I don't know how much longer I can say that. At Mississippi State is not an easy game. Mississippi State is a solid team. They got Vanderbilt still on the schedule. They got Georgia on the road still there. They got A&M at home. Like, there's a chance Texas could finish 8-4. Like, I don't think that's crazy to say. Maybe if Vanderbilt comes in and beats them, I mean, they could finish 7-5. Like, Texas is in a rough spot right now. They're in must-win mode. I do think they get a win against Mississippi State, but I'm not too confident it's going to be, you know, very convincing. I like Texas to win, but I like Mississippi State to cover here. Number 21 is going to be LSU. We got to talk about this. One of the biggest stories. LSU goes down to Vanderbilt. Going into Vanderbilt as a underdog, I think 2.5. I believe I picked LSU, but I'm not sure. I might be wrong. I was kind of back and forth on that game, so I might have picked Vanderbilt. But LSU does not look good, man. Their offensive line was getting, you know, really just dominated by Vanderbilt, which is not what you want to see. Garrett Nussmeier didn't look all that great. Just a lot of problems with LSU. I've given props to their defense this whole season, but honestly, the past few weeks, I mean, they haven't been they just gave up 31 points to Vanderbilt. Like, the defense can only do so much, and the offense just isn't really working. Like, I don't really know what's going on with LSU. Garrett Nussmeier just doesn't look right. And now they're in must-win mode. I mean, at 5-2, if they lose another game, they're not going to get in. Problem is, they have A&M, they have Bama on the road, they have Oklahoma on the road. I don't think they win all 3 of those games. I think that's very fair to say with the way they've looked. I don't see them winning all 3 of those games. I don't even know if I see them winning 1 of those games. Maybe 1 max. I don't think I see them winning 2 of these 3. So with that, there's a chance LSU finishes 8-4. I don't know, 9-3 at best. There's no way they win all 3. And that's not going to be good enough to make the playoffs. This is a team that a lot of people thought would win the national championship game. This is a team that brought back Garrett Nussmeier, brought back all these guys to go out and try to win a national championship, and they're not even going to make the playoffs. Like, that is shocking to think about. I think Brian Kelly knows he's on the hot seat, so I think he knows he needs to win this game. And I actually do think there's a good chance they win this game. You know, LSU's playing for their lives. They're not going to be able to afford a loss, and it's a home game. They're in Death Valley, night game. A&M kind of been squeaking by the past few weeks. Can, you know, LSU get one last hurrah? A&M's only favored by 2.5. You know, number 3 team versus number 20 in the AP poll. You usually don't see a spread that low. You know, just based off the rankings. LSU could make this interesting. I really do think but it's hard for me to pick them. So I'm going to take A&M 27-21. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a low-scoring game, lower scoring than you may think. I just don't trust LSU's offense to make this play, and I think Marcel Reed's playing very good football right now. Now, if Le'Veon Moss, I believe he's out, which does kind of hurt their chances. If he's playing, I think A&M wins pretty clearly, but it is a very tough place to play at night. I could see A&M for sure losing this game. Like I said, they've been squeaking by against Auburn. They just squeaked by against Arkansas. I don't know. I just don't trust LSU's offense at this point. They've given me no reason to trust them, besides the fact that it's LSU at night. But with the way the team looks, I just can't pick them. So I'm going to take A&M here. Number 20 is going to be Michigan. Now, we got to talk about this. They win against Washington 24-7. You think, okay, pretty good win. Washington, pretty good team. Some people thought they should have been ranked this season, for a lot of this season, really. But when you watch this game, does this not look like the Michigan of the past few years? The way they looked against Washington is very, very concerning as an Ohio State fan, and it pains me to say that. I still believe Ohio State is going to win this year against Michigan. I still believe that. Although I thought it last year. I thought there was no way. And, Michigan's definitely better this year than last year, but I think you could argue Ohio State's better this year than last year as well. Anyways, we're going to talk about that in, whenever that, a month, end of November, last week of the season. So still a ways away. So a lot can change. But did that not look like the Michigan team of the past few years? They controlled the line of scrimmage. They ran the ball, not even with Justin Haynes playing, mind you. This is their backup running back. And Jordan Marshall had a great day. 25 carries, 133 yards, 1 touchdown, 5.3 yards a carry. Justice Haynes comes back in. Whoa, hold on now. They got probably the best running back room in the country besides Notre Dame. But yeah, like I said, they controlled the line of scrimmage. They won with running the ball and defense, and them getting this, 5 yards a carry on the ground really just opened up the play action, opened up the pass game for Bryce Underwood, and he looked great, man. He looked really good. 21 for 27, 230 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think you could argue that's his best game of the season. I think that's honestly pretty clearly the best he's looked this season. So Michigan does concern me. They're looking really good. And you look at this team, there's a lot of true freshmen out there, redshirt freshmen, young guys. I think Michigan next season, watch out. I think Michigan next season is almost a shoo-in for a top 10 team. Now, this week is a tough game. It's a rivalry game. They got a big one against Washington. They've played 2 tough teams in a row here. And they got to go to their rivals, Michigan State. On the road, night game, could get a little interesting. I do think Michigan State covers. I think it's a pretty big spread, 14.5. Michigan State doesn't look that great. But I'm going to say they cover. Night game at home rivalry, usually, they're pretty close. So I don't think Michigan covers 14.5. But I do think they win. I think they're getting a lot better. And I think there's a very, very strong chance they're going into that Ohio State game at 9-2. Win gets them into the playoffs. Loss, well, they're not going to get in. So that's going to be a huge game at the end of the year. But I do think Michigan wins this week. Number 19 is going to be South Florida. The Group of 5 team, the Group of 5 favorites for the playoffs this entire season has been South Florida. It's going to continue to be that way unless Memphis has anything to say about it. Now, this was a game that was looking like could potentially be a college game day site, but Memphis loses last week to UAB. The trap game at UAB, I was thinking about ranking Memphis, but I couldn't because they lost. Now, if Memphis wins this game, they'll probably be ranked. South Florida, 4.5-point favorites at Memphis. Tough game. I actually feel better about Memphis winning this game now that they lost than if they were going into this game undefeated, because now I feel like Memphis has some urgency, has a little bit more, fight in them to bounce back. I'm still going to take South Florida, but I think Memphis covers. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. 64 total points. I'd assume that's the over. And I think South Florida does win. I think they have enough. I think South Florida is in a great spot right now to be that Group of 5 team now. At Navy. Navy's still undefeated. That's going to be a tough game. UAB just beats Memphis. You never know. So they got some tough little challenges on their schedule, but they got to win this Memphis game. Biggest game of the season, at least in conference play so far. Probably not with the Florida win, the Miami game. But you get what I'm saying. Biggest conference game so far for South Florida. It's going to be a huge test for them. I think they win, though, in a high-scoring shootout. Moving on, though, to number 18. Now, Louisville just went into Miami on the Friday night game. The weird game, I was saying, weird things happen Friday night. I didn't pick Louisville to win, obviously, but I picked Louisville to cover. Not only do they cover the spread, they go in there and win the game 24-21. Now, they needed a little bit of help. 4 picks from Carson Beck definitely helped here. But Louisville gets the win nonetheless. And now all of a sudden, the ACC is just, what's going to happen here? Virginia's still undefeated in conference play. Georgia Tech still undefeated in conference play. Like, Miami at this point is on the outside looking in for the ACC title. Now, I'd assume they still find a way to get in there. But a lot of these good teams don't play each other. So the ACC is in a very peculiar spot. I don't really know what's going to happen. Now, this is a huge win for Louisville. Obviously, they're moving into the rankings for, I believe, the first time this season. And they've looked good, man. Miller Moss, their only loss is to Virginia, who is ranked. So that's and that was in overtime, too. But yeah, man, Louisville gets the win. Nonetheless, I think this week against Boston College, I think they continue to roll. I don't see any world. Boston College is just not great. The spread's like 25.5, so I have Boston College covering just because I think Louisville could, have a little bit of a hangover, but Boston College is 1-6. There's no way Louisville loses this game at home. Number 17, aforementioned Virginia. Now, I couldn't move them up. I kept them where they are because I have to rank them ahead of Louisville. They just went into Louisville and beat them. But, man, they looked bad against Washington State. This is back-to-back weeks where Washington State has kind of given a ranked team some trouble. They almost beat Ole Miss on the road, and then they went into Virginia and almost beat Virginia. Now, they hung on. That's all that matters. They win the game. But honestly, even if they lost this game, it wouldn't have been necessarily the end of the world just because, well, it wasn't a conference game, so they'd still be undefeated in conference. But they're 6-1 right now, 3-0 in the conference. And look at the schedule, man. Like, I don't know if they lose. I'm assuming they do just because they've been kind of squeaking by a lot of these teams. Like, look at their past 3 weeks, all one-score games. So I'd assume they lose. I don't think it's this game against UNC. UNC is not great. I do have UNC covering 10.5 just because it's on the road. But I don't know. I don't know how great I feel about Virginia. To be fair, I do really like their quarterback, though, Chandler Morris. He's an absolute dog. He's very fun to watch. But yeah, Virginia right now would be playing Georgia Tech for the ACC title game. Assuming both those teams went out, I mean, they could both end up as playoff teams. So the ACC is very interesting right now. We're going to continue to keep our eyes on that. 16 is where I'm going to have Tennessee. I'm going to move them down 5. They went into Alabama. Lose 37-20. Alabama just looks so good, don't they? Now, it's not all that Alabama looks good. Tennessee had some bad plays in this one, some poor decision making. Joey Aguilar, 268 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Now that pick was pretty crucial because, well, right before halftime, it is, what was the score? 16-7, I believe. Alabama's winning. Tennessee's on the 2-yard line, I want to say. And they throw a 99-yard pick six. I think it was on like second down, too. And all of a sudden, it goes from a potential, I mean, Tennessee probably scores a touchdown there. It goes from a potential 16-14 game at half to a 23-7 game at half. That's a 14-point swing right there. So Alabama just really never looked back. So they went into halftime down 16. They go out and lose by 17. So it was a relatively even second half. And honestly, I mean, both these teams scored 2 touchdowns in the second half. If that play goes differently for Tennessee, if they don't throw that pick six, there's a chance they are in this game till the very end at Alabama. Alabama had some turnovers in the second half as well to kind of help them out. Like, this game could have gone very differently. Now, I know obviously Alabama won, so you can't really take away from that. It's kind of a shoulda, woulda, coulda thing. But I don't know. Does Tennessee get in the playoffs? I think there's a chance, right? I mean, I'm assuming they beat Kentucky, so I'll go ahead and say that. I think they beat Kentucky at Kentucky. It is we saw Texas struggle there, but I think they win. I think they cover. I think Joey Aguilar has a nice bounce back game. That Oklahoma game's going to be tough, but they get it at home. The Vanderbilt game's going to be tough. They get it at home. Florida will be a tough game. Rivalry game there on the road. I don't know. I think there's a chance Tennessee can still get in the playoffs at 10-2. I mean, they're going to have to win out, but I think there's a good chance they can still get in. Number 15 is going to be Missouri. They go into Auburn and get a big win in overtime. And they've got a big game here at Vanderbilt. It's going to be the site of College Game Day. Can you imagine Vanderbilt, Missouri, top 15 matchup, College Game Day coming to town? I mean, this is just peak college football. I mean, these two teams are legitimately playing in late October for playoff implications. I mean, what more could you ask for? Bo Pribula is a very exciting guy. I know he had 2 picks last week against Auburn, 0 touchdowns. But Ahmad Hardy looks really solid. He kind of got shut down against Auburn, and he kind of got shut down against Bama, too. He's gotten shut down the past 2 weeks. I don't know if he gets shut down 3 weeks in a row. I think if Vanderbilt can at least limit him some, then I think they will win this game. It's going to be tough for Missouri. It's on the road. Although Vanderbilt is coming off a big win against LSU, so maybe. But then again, Missouri just came off a hard-fought win at Auburn in Jordan-Hare at night, double overtime, excuse me. So I think, I really wanted to pick Missouri just because I think Missouri, honestly, offensively, has a little bit more ways to win. I think Vanderbilt is going to lean on Diego Pavia. That could come back to bite them if he ends up throwing picks. I think Missouri can win with the run game. I think they can trust Bo Pribula's legs as well. So I think Missouri's a little bit more dynamic on offense. But I don't know. I was trying to make the case for Missouri, like, maybe, I could say Vanderbilt coming off a big one. Missouri's coming off a very hard-fought win as well. 2 very tough games in a row. And, same thing with Vanderbilt. But I'm going to take Vandy at home. I think Missouri could very well win this game. I actually have Vandy covering, but it's 2.5. I think Vandy wins at home. I think they can maybe force a turnover or 2. Auburn forced 2 picks from Bo Pribula. I think Vandy can do that. If they can limit Ahmad Hardy, at least somewhat, I find it hard to believe he gets kind of shut down for 3 games in a row. But if he does, I think Vandy wins this game easily. But I do expect him to bounce back, which is going to make this game a lot more closer than I think. But I'm still going to take Vandy at home here. But that is a tough one. BYU moving up 8 spots. I mean, look at BYU go, man. I didn't have them ranked for the longest time. I was hating on BYU. I was like, okay, last week I finally ranked them at 22. It's like, all right, I'll rank them, but I'm assuming they lose to Utah, and if they lose, they're going to be out of the top 25. Well, they went out and win against Utah in the Holy War, 24-21, and they continue to cruise, man. 7-0. They're now tied for first in the Big 12 with Cincinnati. But, man, look at the schedule coming up for BYU. At Iowa State, at Texas Tech, TCU, at Cincinnati. These are all the top teams in the Big 12. So can BYU continue to roll? I don't know, man. Bear Bachmeier, number 47, wearing number 47 QB. He's a freshman. He's an exciting player, man. He's fun to watch. So I kind of like BYU for that. But honestly, man, I still don't know how great I feel about BYU. Call me crazy. I can't get behind this team as of right now. I don't know what it is. Something's just not clicking for me. Maybe it's the number 47 thing with the QB. Like I really don't know what it is. I don't see the hype here with this BYU team. I know they just beat Utah. It was a team that I had ranked at last week. But like, that's their best win at this point. Look at these teams they've played. They squeaked by against Arizona. They squeaked by against Colorado. Like, I don't know. I'm just not all that high. They've played a lot of one-score games. I feel like these next 4 weeks are really going to show us BYU. I mean, you could throw in the Utah week. So last week and the next 4 weeks, this 5-week stretch for them, I said that last week, is really going to show us what BYU actually is. But I got to give them some props, man. They're the first place in the Big 12 right now at 7-0. But I actually do think Iowa State's going to win this game. Iowa State favored by 3.5. I think it's a safe bet to say BYU covers, but I do think Iowa State wins. I trust Rocco Becht just a little bit more than Bear Bachmeier, but BYU could definitely continue to prove me wrong. And I think if you're a Cougars fan, you'd hope for me to keep hating on BYU and picking against them, because They keep continuing to prove me wrong, so we'll see. But I think Iowa State wins. Number 13 is going to be Texas Tech, moving down 6 spots after their loss in Tempe to the Sun Devils. Honestly, I still think Texas Tech is the best team in the Big 12. Call me crazy, I know, but at 6-1, we've seen them run through. Besides Arizona State, we've seen them run through the Big 12 at this point. I don't think that's really going to stop. I think they're probably going to win out the rest of the way. I mean, they almost beat Arizona State on the road with their backup quarterback in. I know Will Hammond, we were expecting a little more from him because we saw him against Utah after Baron Morton goes down, and he looked pretty good. So we expected, if he played, at least I did, I expected them to still win. They didn't, but they almost did. I mean, Will Hammond, he got a little bit of help with the kick return, or was it punt return there at the end of the fourth. He got a little help that they returned it all the way to the 15, and then he scored one play later. But they gave Arizona State too much time, and Arizona State goes down 10 plays, 75 yards, a minute and a half, takes the lead. And, yeah, man, I still do believe Texas Tech is the best team now. I think when Baron Morton comes back in, they're going to be just fine. I'm honestly not sure his health and status for this game against Oklahoma State, but I don't think it really matters. They're favored, get this, they are favored by 38.5 points. Oklahoma State 1-6. Texas Tech, they're assuming, has a huge bounce-back spot here, and I guess I have Oklahoma State covering, but 38.5 for a conference game is crazy. Next team we're going to talk about here, number 12, Vanderbilt. It's crazy to me that they're number 12. They're actually ranked 10th in the AP poll. They're a top 10 team in the AP poll, first time since, I think it was like 1945. I mean, it was crazy what I saw. But honestly, I think it's well-deserved. I have them at 12 just because I think there's, I guess, AP poll has them at 10. I have 2 teams ahead of them that I think are better. But Vanderbilt, man, only lost at Alabama, and a lot of teams have lost to Alabama. I saw a stat. All these teams, the past 4 teams Alabama's played, because they've been just running through these good teams in the SEC, not counting Alabama, those 4 teams that Alabama has beaten are like 24-1 or something. I mean, it's crazy what Alabama has done to these teams. But Vanderbilt, against LSU, they get a big win. 31-24. Honestly, I might have picked Vandy in this game now that I think about it. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I pick LSU. They had the athletes to compete with Vandy, laterally. I think I did pick Vandy just because of the RPO game, and I didn't trust LSU. But Vandy got it done against a team that definitely has, obviously higher recruits, better athletes, more money as well. And Vandy, Diego Pavia, leads them. He is, what he's done for this program can't go without saying. He has just revived this program, given them so much life, and I love to see it. I think they continue to roll. I think they beat Missouri. I think they slow down Ahmad Hardy enough. But this 5-game stretch, man, it's pretty tough for Vandy. If they can win one, this Missouri game is huge. If they can get through this game, I think there's a real chance we see Vandy in the playoffs. Now, I'm a little worried they may lose this game because they have Texas next week. At Texas, that's really tough. At Tennessee, last game of the year, rivalry game, that's going to be tough as well. But they're going to have to beat Auburn and Kentucky. They're going to have to take care of business. I think they will those 2 games. If they can beat Missouri, then they're going to have to win one of the Texas-Tennessee games, which I think is possible. And if that is the case, if they finish 10-2, I think that's their ceiling. Their floor might be like 8-4. Like, there's a chance they lose Missouri, Texas, and Tennessee. But ceiling 10-2, that gets them in the playoffs with this schedule. So we'll see with Vandy, but I'm very excited. It's going to be college game day here. It's going to be a great game. Vandy favored by 2.5, so I do have them covering, but I think it could definitely go either way. Number 11, Georgia Tech. It's not pretty what they're doing. The AP poll has them at 7. I'm not, that high. I don't know. I don't think Georgia Tech is that good, but they continue to win, so I'm going to have to keep moving them up. But I have them at 11. I'm a little bit more reserved with them. I don't know. Maybe it's just because the way they win is just so ugly. Like, it looks like they're just limping around. Haynes King, love him, but he's really doing it all for this team. And it feels like they're just eventually going to run out of juice. I don't know. They barely beat Wake Forest in overtime. 2-point conversion goes Wake Forest's way. Wake Forest wins that game. They barely beat Colorado first week. They barely beat Clemson. I mean, close, kind of close game with Duke. Not really. They were winning for a lot of that game. Um, Actually, not really. Duke was in it till the very end. Georgia Tech kind of pulled away late. I guess I'm getting it confused with another team. Yeah, because Georgia Tech really got lucky with the 99-yard fumble return or whatever to go up 7-0. But yeah, they just continue to squeak by these teams. I'm kind of worried it's going to happen at some point. Maybe it's the NC State game. Maybe it's the Pitt game before Georgia. Then again, though, none of these four teams before the Georgia game look all that, threatening. I mean, the best team, NC State, 4-3, Pitt, 5-2. So, like, they could lose one of those games. Maybe they lose the Syracuse game. I don't really know where the loss is. I'm assuming they do get a loss at some point. Like, unless they just continue to win. There's a chance. I mean, they haven't. I don't know, man. I think they win against Syracuse. It's hard for me to pick them not to win. I'll take Syracuse to cover. I mean, there's a real chance they go into that Georgia game at 11-0, which is ridiculous, by the way. But right now, that game is 5 versus 7 in the AP poll, so that's going to be a huge game, regardless. But I think Georgia Tech probably loses a game at some point. But I don't think it's this week. Notre Dame, I'm going to have in my top 10. People aren't going to like this because they do have the 2 losses. And Miami, the loss to Miami doesn't look as good just because Miami lost. But just watch this team play. You can't tell me they're not a top 10 team. Look at this running game for them. I mean, it's ridiculous. The way they played against USC, Cohen Carr didn't even look that good in this game. They still won, or not Cohen Carr, CJ Carr. Sorry, I'm getting into the mindset of college basketball already. But CJ Carr didn't look great in this game. 136 yards, 1 touchdown. He had a bad interception. Jeremiah Love, 228 rushing yards, 9.5 yards a carry and a touchdown. Jadarian Price, 87 rushing yards, 6.7 yards per carry and a touchdown. Not to mention Jeremiah Love, almost 40 receiving yards. Jadarian Price, 9 receiving yards. They had 306 rushing yards as a team. Like, this is insane stuff what Notre Dame's doing. By far the best backfield in the country, and they're going to be a problem, honestly. I was talking with my dad about, because, obviously I'm an Ohio State fan, about, I was saying, I don't really know who's going to beat Ohio State this year. Like, maybe Oregon? I said Oregon was probably the team I'm the most worried about. I also mentioned Alabama just because they've looked so good. But he told me the team he's most worried about is Notre Dame. And honestly, after this game against USC, I can't blame him. The way they run the ball, the way they controlled that game against USC, not to mention they put up 34 points. Like, this offense looks great. If they can really just lock in on this defense, kind of control this game with their running game, I think Notre Dame's going to be a problem. And I think they already are. They're on bye this week, but I think Notre Dame is definitely deserving of a top 10 ranking at this point. Number 9 is going to be Oklahoma. I was hating on Oklahoma a little. Dropped them down quite a bit after the loss to Texas. I think deservingly so. But they've really, looked a lot better in the South Carolina game. They held them to 7 points on the road, reminding us that, yes, this Oklahoma's defense is still elite. They gave up 23 to Texas. But that's the only game they've allowed over 20 points. This Oklahoma defense is still one of the best in the country. Maybe the best behind Ohio State's. But this is a huge game against Ole Miss. I'll tell you this. I'll keep it short and simple. I was going to pick Ole Miss in this game. Ole Miss looked great on the road against Georgia. It makes you think, well, if they can do that on the road against Georgia, what else can they do? They're gonna be in trouble. At Georgia is definitely harder to play at than at Oklahoma now. In Norman's not easy, obviously. But back-to-back road games for Ole Miss, I don't know. I feel like they kind of let it all out of the tank last week against Georgia. Oklahoma loses to Texas, but against South Carolina, they get the running game going, which they haven't been able to do all year. If they can run the ball like that against Ole Miss, continue to play defense like they did, I don't see a world where Ole Miss finds a way to win this game. Now, if Oklahoma goes back to their old ways, not being able to run the ball, then maybe. But I don't know if I see Ole Miss doing that much now. They did score 35 against Georgia, but I don't think there's any chance they get that high against this Oklahoma defense. Georgia's defense is a little suspect this year, by the way. So I think Oklahoma keeps them in check. Oklahoma's favored by 4.5, which is kind of surprising. I thought it may be at at most 2.5 Oklahoma. I thought there's a chance Ole Miss could be favored here. I'm going to take Ole Miss to cover, but I'm going to take Oklahoma to win. I think they get this win at home, move to 7-1, really boost their playoff odds, because if you're Oklahoma, here you go. Last 5 games, I believe it's all against top 20 teams. So, they're going to have to find a way to win 4 of these 5. Maybe they can get in at 9-3 just because of how good the schedule is. Maybe they're probably the only team that can get in at 9-3, so I guess there's a chance. But I do think they win against Ole Miss, keep their playoff hopes alive. Number 8 is going to be Miami, moving down 6. I think Miami's going to be okay. I'm not going to panic too hard. Yes, they lost. Obviously, Miami was a team that I was confident in, going 12-0, going 13-0, winning the ACC, getting in as probably the 1 or 2 seed, depending on Ohio State and Indiana, what goes on there. But they lose the Friday night game to Louisville. I'd probably feel honestly better about Miami if it was at Louisville that they lost. But I kind of expected this game to get a little weird. Friday night games are always weird. And Miami was in this game. They only lost by 3 points. Carson Beck threw 4 picks. Do we really think he's going to do that again? I mean, maybe. He wasn't great with Georgia, but he's looked so good all season. I think that was kind of just a fluky little game. Like, Miami was still in that game with throwing 4 interceptions. I don't think they're going to really do that the rest of the season. I think there's a great chance they win out, get their way into the ACC championship game somehow, some way. I do think that starts this week, though. They're going to beat Stanford here. I think they continue to roll, but I do have to move them down quite a bit. Number 7, Ole Miss. I'm only going to move them down 1. I was kind of hating on Ole Miss already, but they really impressed me. Trinidad Chambliss looked really good here. Puts up 35 points against Georgia. Ultimately, it wasn't enough. But I will say for the first 5 drives of the game, Ole Miss scores a touchdown. This game was ridiculous. I mean, it was just all points, back and forth. There wasn't a stop in this game. A defense did not get a stop in this game until, well into the fourth quarter, with less than 9 minutes in the fourth quarter was the first stop of this game for either defense. Now, Ole Miss really fumbled the bag late. They got outscored in the fourth quarter 19-0 to Georgia. That is not a good look. They only lose by 8 points. But man, I really thought Ole Miss had it, man. They were leading this whole time. They were leading the whole game. But Georgia ends up coming back. Georgia's just impossible to put away. Kirby Smart said it. And it's true, man. Georgia just continues to find ways to win. I thought Ole Miss was going to go in there and do it. I really did. But I feel better about Ole Miss after watching that game. Although I do think they lose against Oklahoma here. Back-to-back road games against 2 top 10 teams, in my opinion. I think they let it all out against Georgia. And the fact that they crumpled late kind of concerns me here. Oklahoma's defense is much better against Georgia than Georgia's. So I think Ole Miss may have some fatigue from that Georgia game, some wear and tear on their bodies. Like I said, I think they really just, I don't know if they have enough gas left to go into Oklahoma and play that defense and win that game. So I think Oklahoma wins. But honestly, even if Ole Miss loses this game, I think there's a really good chance they go 10-2. They're gonna have to beat Mississippi State, which on the road could be a little tough. The Egg Bowl rivalry game. Mississippi State could very well knock Ole Miss out of the playoffs. But if Ole Miss wins this game, they're essentially a lock for the playoffs. I think honestly these top 8 teams here are all but, Ole Miss is probably the only team I wouldn't say is a lock, but I think the other 7 of the top 8 are essentially locks for the playoffs at this point. But we'll end up seeing if I'm wrong here. But Oregon, I'd say is a lock for the playoffs. I don't see them losing again. And like I said earlier, if there's any team, as an Ohio State fan, I'm worried about, it's actually this Oregon team. I know they just lost recently to Indiana, but they went into Rutgers, far travel, win 56-10. When do you see this in conference play? I mean, going on the road, winning like that. They have like 700 total yards of offense. I don't think you guys know how insane that is. 335 passing yards, 415 rushing yards. That is just ridiculous. Oregon was doing whatever they wanted. Like 750 total offensive yards. Are we serious? I mean, that is just absurd. 4 passing touchdowns, 4 rushing touchdowns. Like, Oregon looks good, man. I think Dan Lanning. I think this team honestly benefits from that loss. I think they're kind of going to be the Ohio State of last year. Losing to Oregon, that was Ohio State earlier last season. Losing to Michigan, and they just really turned it on in the playoffs. I think you could see that happen with this Oregon team. They're going to play USC and at Washington, 2 tough games there to close out their season. But I honestly think they win both those games. I think they go out and blow out Wisconsin 33.5. I think they cover. We saw Wisconsin just get absolutely handled by Ohio State. I think Oregon does the same. Number 5 is going to be Georgia. Like I said, Gunnar Stockton, man. 12 for 12, 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. Outscore Ole Miss 19-0 in the fourth quarter. I was hating on this defense. The secondary looks suspect. It's not a typical Georgia team. Their defense just really isn't that good, for being honest, this season. It's just not that good. But they got stops when it mattered in this game. Ole Miss did not score in the fourth quarter. Like I said, there wasn't a stop in this game until the fourth quarter. But guess what it was? Fourth quarter, Georgia defense gets the stops when it matters. And they force 2 3-and-outs and then a turnover on downs to clinch the game. Like, Georgia's defense allowed 1 first down in the fourth quarter with 3 Ole Miss drives. Like, that's pretty good, man. Georgia just has this way of finding ways to win, and it's a lot of due to Gunnar Stockton. He just has so much resilience. It's a lot to do with Curry Smart because he as well. But, I mean, look at this Georgia schedule, man. I think they win against Florida. I think they win against Mississippi State. I think they probably beat Texas. Georgia Tech could be tough. I think they win that game, though. Like, I think Georgia probably runs the table, probably goes 11-1. There's a good chance they're playing for that SEC championship game, but they are on bye this week, so no prediction there. Number 4 is going to be A&M. I think A&M at this point, probably a lock for the playoffs. They have really 3 tough games. LSU, Missouri, Texas. Now, it is a problem. They're all on the road, but they're going to need to win, one of those games? They finished 10-2. They're getting in. 10-2 SEC team with a win over on the road against Notre Dame. With a win over, I'm assuming they get at least 1 win against LSU, Missouri, or Texas. I do think they beat LSU, like I said. There's just no way I can pick LSU right now. But A&M's running backs are a little banged up, so that could be interesting. LSU's playing for their season on the road. Night game, Death Valley. Don't love that for A&M. They've kind of been squeaking by. This is back-to-back weeks, by the way, where Arkansas has kind of kept it close with some teams. Their offense looks really good. But A&M holds on to win. They were leading that whole game, so it's not like they had to come back here. And I was giving props to A&M's defense, but I don't know, they looked a little suspect there against Arkansas. 42 points. Don't love that, but I think LSU is just, it's too hard for me to pick them right now. They're just not giving me any reason to be excited, so I'm going to take A&M. And you may think, why is A&M 4? AP people has them at 3. They're one of the 3, undefeated there at the top. Ohio State, Indiana, A&M. A&M's been my 3 for a long time. But I'm going to keep them at 4 for the reason I have Alabama actually jumping them. I know Alabama's 6-1, but if you play Alabama against that Florida State team right now, you're telling me Alabama doesn't win by 17, 20, 21 maybe? I think Alabama would beat Florida State. I think that week 1 game, with the way the Seminoles have fallen off, that's like the flukiest game of the season. I feel like there's always games like that. But, I mean, just look at this schedule for Alabama and look at what they've done the past 4 weeks. At Georgia, 24-21 win. Home against Vanderbilt, 30-14. At Missouri, coming off those 2 big wins. Tennessee next week could be a trap game. I thought Missouri could win that game. 27-24 Alabama. 37-20 win over Tennessee. Alabama looks good, man. I think Ty Simpson would be my Heisman pick. I think Fernando Mendoza is the front runner right now. I'd give it to Ty Simpson. But this defense for Alabama, not to mention, they have, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the country. And this defense continues to look better and better as the season progresses. 20 points to Tennessee, the number 1 scoring offense coming into that game. 20 points? That's pretty good, man. This defense is getting a lot better. And they don't give up big plays, which is huge. I've been saying it all year. They can get Jam Miller. If they can get this run game, if they can figure something out in the run game, this team is going to be very, very tough to beat. I think they're the best team in the SEC right now, undefeated in SEC play. At South Carolina, I do think they win 31-20. I have South Carolina covering, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe Alabama just continues to dominate throughout the SEC. Number 2 is going to be Indiana, moving up to number 2 after Miami loses. And yeah, Fernando Mendoza continues to light up the world here. Kurt Cignetti and the Hoosiers, number 2 in the country. Can you believe it? It's crazy, but it's fair to say. Michigan State was winning 10-7 at one point, and they didn't do anything for the rest of the game. Indiana wins 38-13. They continue to roll. I don't see a loss here for Indiana. I think Indiana, Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game, both at 12-0, number 1, number 2. I think that's very realistic, and I honestly think that's what's going to happen against UCLA. I have Indiana winning. I have UCLA covering. I think UCLA's been a lot better, but it's crazy to me. UCLA taking down Penn State. They've won 3 games in a row. They've looked really good. Nico Iamaleava looks a lot better. They beat Penn State. They blew out Michigan State 38-13, same score as Indiana. And UCLA played it on the road. UCLA just beat Maryland last week. I think it goes to show how high people are on Indiana. Indiana is favored by 25.5 in this game at home. I'll take UCLA to cover, but that is a crazy good line for Indiana. That just goes to show how good Indiana is. If you don't believe it, you gotta check yourself, because Indiana is legitimately, in my opinion, the number 2 team right now. I think that's very fair to say. But number 1 is going to be Ohio State. I think they are still the clear number 1. I don't think you can really argue anyone else at this point. This is maybe the best defense we've seen in the past. I don't know if I can say that. The 2023 Michigan defense was so good. 2021 Georgia was so good. The Bama teams of the 2010s, their defenses, but this is maybe one of the all-time great defenses. They've allowed what was it, 40 something? I'm trying to do the math real quick in my head. I think they've allowed 41 points in 7 games. If I'm doing that quick math right, that is absolutely ridiculous that they can say that. Still have not. They've given up 1 red zone touchdown to Illinois. I was hoping they were going to just continue that the whole season. That would have been great, but I don't think they've given up a touchdown in the second half or something like that. Or maybe it was the touchdown in the first half. They haven't given up a touchdown in the first half yet. 7 games in? Playing against Washington, playing against Illinois, playing against Texas. Number 1 team at that point, by the way. Washington going into that game was the number 2 scoring offense in the country. Illinois got Luke Altmaier on the road there. They can't score a first half touchdown. It's ridiculous. Arvo Reese is legitimately a top 10 NFL draft pick. The D-line continues to develop. They still have Sonny Styles. I think it's the best linebackers in the country. And Caleb Downs, not to mention, in my opinion, best defensive player in the country as well. So, as an Ohio State fan, I'd like for them to get the run game going a little bit more. I know Bo Jackson has shown some flashes, but they really couldn't run the ball at all against Wisconsin. Now, Wisconsin has done one good thing all season, and it is stop the run, so that makes me feel a little bit better. But I was at this game, and Ohio State is by far and away the best team in the country right now. Makes me feel great as an Ohio State fan. Julian Sayin had his best game as a Buckeye. He continues to look better and better every week. He threw for almost 400 yards. Carnell Tate legitimately looks like he's making Jeremiah Smith look like the wide receiver 2 on this team. That's how good he is. People don't realize that. I think he's legitimately the second best receiver in the country. And I still think Jeremiah Smith is the best player in the country. He's just getting double teamed every play because that's how good he is. And he's still producing. This Ohio State team, if they can figure something out in the run game, what can't they do? They're not even running the ball bad. Bo Jackson, like I said, has shown flashes this season to be a very good running back. And I think he's only going to get better as the season goes on. I think Sayin's only going to get better. I think the receivers are only going to get better. I think the defense, honestly, is only going to get better. But keep in mind, this is Matt Patricia's first year. He's only coached here for 7 games. You're telling me he's not going to get better with these guys? Can continue to learn the team more? I don't know, man. Penn State worries me a little. But honestly, I would just beat them throwing 60 passing yards. So honestly, I take that back. I was going to say Penn State could worry me just because they are still a talented team. They don't have a coach. They don't have a quarterback. I'm not worried. Ohio State's also going to have the bye to prepare. I think they're going to be just fine. Ohio State #1 team. But that's going to do it for the Week 9 college football top 25 rankings. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you go down there, leave a like, comment down below what you agree, what you disagree, thoughts on all these teams, thoughts on my rankings. Love to debate and discuss down there. But once again, that's going to do it. If you're new around here, make sure you subscribe. We do college football every week, NFL every week, NBA every week now. College basketball going to be starting later this week, and we're going to continue to do that every single week. And MLB content. The World Series is coming up. We're going to make an MLB video previewing that. So, best time of the year for content on the channel. Make sure you subscribe, turn on the noties to make sure you don't miss whenever we upload. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow with our Week 8 NFL game prediction.